Hi everyone, this is Selvi. Today's topic is SMART in acceptance criteria. SMART: S specific, M measurable, A achievable, R relevant, T time bound. S specific. Acceptance criteria should contain all the specific information that are required to implement the user story. What is an example of specific? I want to pass the exam with good marks. Is this specific? No, it is generic. What is specific then? I want to pass the exam, which covers subjects computer science, mathematics, physics, and chemistry with A grade. And the exam is starting from 1st of June 2022 and it will end by 30th June 2022. These all are the specific information we talk about. So, in user story, how we can use this in acceptance criteria? Let's take an example of creating users. What are the details that we expect in the acceptance criteria of creating users related user story? What are the fields that should appear in the page? And what is the title of the page? Whether it is user creation or creation of users, what is the title of the page? How many fields are there? How many are text fields? How many fields are going to accept numeric values? How many are going to accept alphanumeric values? And what are the buttons that are going to be available? What are the functionalities of the button? Whether first name and last name, uh, do they accept any kind of numeric values? And is it case sensitive? And what is the password criteria is going to look like? What are the mandatory fields? And if the mandatory fields are missed out, how are we going to indicate the user? And when we click on the create button, what is the message we are going to display? And is the cancel button going to reset all the fields? All these things are called as the specific information that are required to create users. So now next point, M, that is measurable. Measurable means quantifiable measure. We should be in a position to indicate our progress with the help of some quantifiable values. What does that mean? Let's take an example of what is quantifiable thing. I'm going to play a game tonight with my friends. I'm saying I will win most of the games tonight. Is this anything measurable here? No. What will be then the measurable things? I will win 9 out of 10 games tonight. This is measurable thing. Out of 10, how much I am going to win? That is called as measurable. So here in our user story, what will be the best example for this? Let's take login page itself. You are entering username, password and clicking on login. Login page, we are saying that after entering username and password and clicking on login button, it should land on home page successfully. What is the successfully means? After 10 minutes, if even if it lands at home page, is it successful? No. Within 10 milliseconds, or 10 milliseconds is the threshold value here. That means we are trying to indicate our progress. Anything that is more than 10 milliseconds is not going to be considered as a successful criteria here. So after entering the username and password and clicking on login, it will land at the home page. By what time it should land? By 10 milliseconds. Anything more than that is considered as a unsuccessful attempt. That is measurable. So your acceptance criteria, whenever you are writing, you should measure these things. Not only telling that okay, after clicking on login it should be landing at the home page. No, at what time? That is important here, because any user cannot wait for 10 minutes to after clicking on the login. They don't have time to wait and watch whether after 10 minutes it's going to the home page, right? It should be immediate. So we are going to set that as 10 milliseconds. So these kind of information also should be available in the acceptance criteria. What is next one? A, which is achievable. Whatever the information that we are providing, it should be an achievable one. it is not something like an unrealistic one or impossible one to achieve. For example, I am saying I'll complete uh, I'll complete 9 story writing by this week. I cannot write 9 stories or novels in a week. It is very much unrealistic one. What is possible then? I'm saying I'll complete my first novel or story by third quarter of this year. I have good amount of time for the third quarter. I am also telling I'm going to write my first story or novel. So I'm actually setting the target which is a realistic one, which is not something like an unrealistic one. So similar fashion in an user story, how we can use achievable things. We are saying in the acceptance criteria, at a particular instance, 100 million users can log in at the portal at the same time. This is an unrealistic one because what we have created this product itself, this portal itself is for supporting 1 million users at the same time, not more than that. But we are expecting the login functionality to work for 100 million users at the same time, which is an unrealistic one or unachievable one. So what is achievable? Whatever it's feasible, that is 1 million users. 1 million users can log in at the same time. That we can set as a non-functional aspect or non-functional use case in the acceptance criteria for the login page. That is the one that we can achieve, whereas 100 million users we cannot achieve. What is the next one? R, relevant. Relevant here is the acceptance criteria should talk about all the relevant information about that particular user story. If the user story's intention is for something, we should always have the acceptance criteria revolving around that particular thing, not about something else. What is the example for relevant? I'm saying I will dance for guitar music so that I can learn guitar. Is this relevant? What is relevant here? The relevant thing is I am going to practice every night 30 minutes guitar so that I can learn guitar. That is a relevant thing. Just by dancing for guitar songs or guitar music, I will not be able to learn guitar. What I need to do, I need to practice every day for some time so that I can become a guitar player. This is the difference between relevant and irrelevant. Now, the same, how is it applicable in our user story? Let's take an example. We are talking about creating users. And now there is an information that is written like user creation also take the same time as deletion of users. What is this user story all about? This user story is all about creating users. Why are we actually bringing the topic of deleting the users here? So this is an irrelevant information for this particular story in the acceptance criteria. So what we need to do here, we need to talk about only the information. What time the creation of users is going to take, that alone we need to mention here. We should not take the reference related to deletion of users, which is irrelevant for this user story. Right? Next one, T is for time bound. I'm time bound when I say it is very simple. We should always set a target which is a time factor. By what time it is achievable. Even though I know what I need to achieve, what time it can be achievable, and what is the target I am setting. Always acceptance criteria is written inside an user story. User story is always targeted for a sprint. It cannot go beyond a sprint. So always the acceptance criteria, whatever we are writing, it should fit within a sprint cycle. It should not be something like too many things we are expecting that is not going to fit in the cycle of a sprint. Example for something is in the real world, I'm saying I want to learn to play guitar. this is something without any kind of time bound, because I'm not saying when and how much time I am looking to reach this target. I'm not saying anything. What is actually the thing? The actual thing that what I can say here is, I want to play, or I want to learn to play happy birthday song in guitar by 30th June 2022. Here I am setting what is the specific goal I want to achieve, and what is the specific time frame also I am looking for. Everything is added up here, which gives a time bound information. What is an example in a user story? Let's consider search functionality. Search functionality, this particular user story, what we are trying to implement is going to have the basic search. That alone we are trying. So the basic search related things alone will be in the acceptance criteria. Like for example, free text, when I'm entering, it should highlight in the page. That is the only thing. There is no special characters allowed. There is no time factor from and to. No advanced options are available. So in this sprint, what I am trying to achieve is only the basic search by this sprint time. So that particular information alone should be available in the acceptance criteria of the story, not about when you click on advance, it should give a new window where I have from two option, where I can use wildcard character related search. Those things are not allowed. So we are very much specifically mentioning that in this sprint time, what is achievable, that alone should be available in the acceptance criteria of the user story that is related to search, because that is only for basic search and not for advanced. This is how we should put the information in the acceptance criteria, by following these things. So when we collectively see all these things, even though I have put in small bits and pieces related to information on examples, but if we try to collectively see this, this is going to help us in ensuring that we are not creating any kind of dependencies with other stories. We are going to make the stories independent so that the acceptance criteria have relevant information about that. And we are also thinking about what is achievable and what is achievable in a specific sprint, and what is achievable also we are trying to give all the specific information, and we are also giving the quantifiable measures to indicate the progress what we are doing with respect to the acceptance criteria. So if we follow all these things, the acceptance criteria is going to give very clear information that helps the entire team in implementing the user story. I hope this episode would have helped most of you in understanding what is SMART. Thank you everyone for listening. Happy learning and stay tuned.